Okay, people, here we go. We're going to learn another tool. Some of you already know this and you're pros at it, and others of you might not know it at all. It's called Kahoot. And Kahoot is a way to make a fun online quiz. It's a great formative assessment to see what kids know before you actually give a summative assessment. The tricky thing is when you go to type in Kahoot, and I don't think my screen is in my window, so hold tight. I'm just going to shrink this a little. And bring it down. Okay, so I'm in my Google toolbar here, and do you notice how Kahoot.it comes up? That's actually the web address that students will use. You want to make sure that you go to create.kahootit. So when I click on that, it will take us to our home screen, and you get to this sign in page. So you will need to actually create a username and password that you will use. And the great thing about Kahoot is that I actually had kids when they were doing projects on their own in groups or with pairs. They would give a presentation, and at the end of that presentation they would give a Kahoot to see what kids learned from their presentation. So it was a really nice way to add on. So as you can see, I am already I've already signed in. I've got my hot class. And so you can create a quiz, you can create a discussion, and you can create a survey. So I know that some teachers have used discussion because it feels a little less competitive, but it still gets some of those questions that you want to ask out into your student population to see what they know. The quiz can really generate some seriously high energy in your classroom, especially if kids are super creative. So what I do is before the Kahoot starts or before we play it, I'm pretty clear about my expectation on noise level, and we practice a silent cheer, so we're like raising the roof together, we're really excited, and then we practice being disappointed and we're really quiet and we have sad faces, or we have our all shucks mode. So you really want to make sure that you're thinking about that before you start or do a Kahoot. So I clicked quiz, and we're just going to give it a name. So we'll just call it Kahoot Practice. I call it that because then I know to delete it. And then you click Go. Okay, so here's where you could ask a question. And we could ask a question of which digital tool lets you create a word cloud. Okay, so that's the question that I might ask of what you learned from yesterday's presentations. So I could say, let's see, what did we learn about Wixie? We had Screen-O-Matic. So I'm typing in my answers right here, and I will type in Taggle. So just so you know, Taggle is correct, so I'm going to click that as the correct one. And now I'm going to move my screen again. I want to make sure, I think I'm covering what you want to see. So at this point you can add a question, you can duplicate a question. I just go ahead and add a question, or if you're done you can save and continue. But and as you saw, I left one blank. You can fill out 3, you can fill out 4, you choose, and I took that 4th one away by clicking on that minus sign. So let's go ahead and add a question, and let's add another question. So you can do true false as well. And if I do a true false, true or false, I enter it this way. And let me point out over here, you'll notice that I have an 80. You're only allowed so many letters per line, so make sure you don't write this long convoluted question, that you keep it short and simple, because A, it's easier for the kids to read, and B, that's just the limit, what the program permits. So true or false? Beth Ellis is leading a fantastic, what do we call this? Digital class. Okay, so again, let's go down here. We're going to put true, false. Clearly, the correct answer is true. And again, I'm going to delete the other answer boxes. And I feel good about our first Kahoot. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Continue. So we have a whopping 2 questions in our Kahoot. This is the space where I stop and I just double check that I spelled everything correctly. Which digital tool lets you create a word cloud? True or false? Beth Ellis is leading a fantastic digital class. Okay, feeling good. Each question will be up on the screen for 20 seconds. Okay, so it's kind of quick moving. It has a fast pace. I'm going to save and continue. Don't get caught up on these settings before you finish. Tell us a bit more about your quiz. If you want to, you can go in. You want it in English. I select private, and it's a school audience. I rarely put in a description or a tag. So that's just me. So I'm going to save and continue. And if you want, you can choose a file and a picture to include that represents your Kahoot. I don't really have any pictures available to do that, but that's definitely, I can just click one. For the sake of bringing in an image, it totally does not connect to the theme of this Kahoot lesson, but this will be my quiz cover, okay? And so we have an image coming in, and magic, done, almost, yay. Okay, so there's the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. All right, so that we created a Kahoot. Now, if you want your students to play, you're going to click the Play Now button. Okay, each of your students will need his or her Chromebook in order to play. And when I click Play Now, you'll notice Kahoot Practice. We're not going to, you could do team mode. I generally do classic mode. So I'm just going to go ahead and click classic. Ready to join? Get your phone, tablet, or laptop out now. And it gives you, as you'll notice, a pin. Okay, and you can hear the music playing. Your kids will go to kahoot.it.com and enter this pin. And no one's entering it right now, so you don't see any names popping up. If a kid gets silly and they put in a name that's inappropriate, you can kick them out of the game. They're done. I haven't run into that problem yet, but I'm sure that at some point it's going to happen. Let's see, I don't know if it'll let me start because I don't have anyone getting in the game, and I don't have my phone around me to join, so I'm not going to do that. But when the kids play, they see shapes up on the screen that represent an answer, and they have to click on that shape. So that's a different, but they really have to pay attention. They have to be looking at the board and choosing the correct shape. But again, it's fun. It's a great way to give a quick little formative assessment. And again, kids can use it. They can create their own quiz after a presentation that they've given to see what kids have learned. And they love it.